Hey guys, in this gear review we're going to take a look at a classic pedal, the MXR Dyna. And this is a pretty cool pedal. I like this one because I personally don't use a compressor a lot, but when I need one, I want something that's simple. I didn't want to spend a lot of money, and you can pick these guys up for around 69 bucks street price, so that's pretty cool. It's very simple to use, very easy to use. Output, sensitivity, on, off, that's it. So, I'll give you just a clean dry tone out of the amp. And I have it set right now to where if you have it on, the sensitivity or compression, the amount of compression you have is all the way down, so there's none on. The output is just about equal to what the output on the amp is, so you won't have much of a difference. So that's a good starting point. It does change your tone a little bit. Kind of rolls off on the tone, on the bass a little bit. You might not be able to hear it on the camera, but changes your tone just a little bit. Anyway, we'll go through some settings here, and I'll give you just an idea of what it sounds like on some clean sounds and some dirty sounds. Alright, so that's the setting where it doesn't really do much of anything. If I take the sensitivity and crank it up a little bit, that'll give us some compression. Turn it off for you. Just gives you a little bit tighter sound, so it kind of evens out your rhythm playing if you're doing some funky rhythm like that. So let's crank that up a little more, make a little bit more of an extreme kind of compressor effect. Turn that off again for you. I'll just crank this up and make it really squished sound, and put the output up a little bit too, so it gives it a little bit of a volume boost and a little bit of sustain boost. That's off. Here's on. Back off on the output just a touch. See how the volume dropped quite drastically, so you want to make sure that it's set to where your desired volume for whatever part you're playing isn't going to get buried. See, put that up a little bit. So that's pretty good squash, like clean rhythm sound. And if you can hear that too, the pedal's a bit noisy when you put the output up, but that's kind of expected on when you crank the output like that. So if you put the sensitivity all the way down, the output all the way up, gives you just a little bit more output, almost like a clean boost with just a touch more gain for you. Put the output down to like a moderate level. Sensitivity up a little bit more. That's where you get the really, oh, there is a compressor on, kind of a clean sound, right? And that's a little bit more squished than I like to have for that kind of stuff. So back off on sensitivity, put the output up a little. And for a clean, like country picking kind of thing, that's a good setting that I like to use on it. Now let's move on to some overdrive sounds so you can get an idea of what those sound like with this pedal. Alright, I kicked in just a TS9 for you just to hear what it sounds like. That's without the compressor on, just with it on. I'll crank the sensitivity up a little bit for you guys. Now add up a little bit more gain to let you hear what kind of a searing solo sound sounds like with the MXR. Here's without the pedal engaged. Now here's with. Quite a bit louder on that, quite noisy. Back off on the compression a bit. One thing that not a lot of people know is these little rubber things that come with the MXR, pretty much any MXR pedal, aren't just covers for your knobs. Actually, they're so you can switch your settings with your foot live. And not a lot of people know that, so I figured I'd give you that tip. It's a lot easier to stick your foot on them and just tweak them on the fly if you're at a show or something. So that's what those are for. A lot of people don't know that, so that's one little tip for you. Alright, here's another little lead sound for you. I backed off on the output and the sensitivity a bit. There's without the compressor, here's with. So it adds a little sustain, which is cool, but it gets quite noisy. Moderate to clean gain settings, I really like this pedal. High gain settings, not my favorite, but when you crank a tube amp up with moderate gain settings, it can really add a sweet sustain and a cool feel to your lead playing, especially if I particularly like this pedal if you're using single coil. So, MXR Dyna, it's great. $69, great price if you want to add a compressor to your pedal board. But I think there are other better things out there. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big compressor guy, so this works fine for me.